Your brand new education is obsolete. In this business, it takes time to be really good, and by that time, you're obsolete. Share. What happens when you experience the death of a dream? Today, I'd say move on, bounce back, and dream a new dream. Flowing water is formless and one of the most powerful forces on the planet. When it is blocked and cannot flow, it will seek a new direction or a new form. Formlessness is the strategy of many successful entrepreneurs. But at the same time, I was not formless like water. Instead, I was brittle and resistant to change. In effect, change crushed me. The band had been my first real big dream, and it sank like the Titanic, along with my spirit. In the days that followed, I was too tired to care and too tired to cry. I felt empty and tasted bitter defeat. After hanging up the phone, I pivoted and allowed my exhausted body to fall onto my mother's couch like a felled tree, and I just lay there for hours staring at the ceiling. I lay on that couch for days and I didn't move, didn't shower, and I didn't sleep. Some people would call it depression. I called it burnout. I just lay on the couch and watched the shadows and light move across the ceiling as time passed. I was so discouraged that life had reached a point of meaninglessness and nothing made sense anymore. I felt like an obsolete computer that had been tossed in the trash bin. I'd been a loyal and compliant machine. I had faithfully gone down the assembly line of the entire education system from kindergarten through high school graduation and on to a post-secondary degree. I'd gone to school, I'd gotten a degree, and I had a good job, just like I was told. Just like a newly assembled computer, the moment I came off the assembly line, I was already obsolete. My immediate employment required a degree, and I was earning minimum wage. The sad thing is that throughout school, I'd painted houses for summer work and earned more money than minimum wage. I was more educated and more useless than ever before, and worse, my one ray of hope for freedom, adventure, and economic salvation was extinguished. I don't carry many conscious fears in my life, but one fear that overwhelmed me from deep within my soul was the feeling of becoming average. Average. Average is not excellent. Average is not what my mother had told me I would grow up to become. Average was not where I wanted to be. In that moment, on my mother's couch, watching the shadows glide across the ceiling, I realized that I was no longer the guy with the cool band, or the cool concert promoter, or even a cool musician. I was now just an average guy. Fear is contagious, and the more you fear something, the more likely you are to attract that which you fear. As I lay on my mother's couch, I had reached a point of maximum fear, and I had manifested what I feared the most. I had become average. I had pursued Plan B so aggressively that Plan A died at birth. Plan A got swept aside and thrown in the trash bin as I poisoned my brilliant plans with average advice. I had taken a steady prescription of average advice from my teachers, parents, and peers for the first 20 years of my life, and I was beginning to show side effects of stillborn average results. I vowed that I would stop taking average advice from average people and begin to take extraordinary advice from extraordinary people. Surely this change would allow me to achieve extraordinary results. I stayed there on my mother's couch for days like a wounded animal waiting to die. I was like a domesticated beast that had had its teeth and claws painfully removed. I had no hunting instincts, and I could not survive in the jungle with my current skills. Like Pavlov's dog that would salivate at the sound of a ringing bell, I had been trained by the school system to seek more education when faced with the problems of surviving in the real world. As a lifetime student, All I knew how to properly do was read, research, write papers, and take tests. I didn't have the skills to survive in the wild, so I enrolled back into the sanctuary of university for a second degree. Disillusioned with education, I began to look for answers to my problem. My spirit was nearly dead, and I realized that formal education could not provide the answers to my problems, so I began to look for opportunities wherever I could find them. One day in the underground university tunnel, I was scanning the gargantuan corkboards that seemed to run forever down the length of the subterranean tunnel. In the past, when I scanned the billboards, it was to find a spot to staple my rock and roll posters all over them. The board was littered with pieces of paper of all shapes, sizes, and colors into a beautiful mosaic of opportunities. Some pieces of paper were advertising rooms for rent. Others had odd jobs or odd furniture for sale. One piece of paper in the sea of colors caught my eye. It read, "Learn to be rich, just like Rich Dad, Poor Dad." The poster had a picture of a purple and yellow book that sported the title, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, in bold gold writing on a deep purple background. I had passed this poster many times, and I thought nothing of it. However, this time I had the urge to read this book as I felt the emotions of my teenage ambition of fortune and fame flood my body. I immediately turned in the direction of the campus bookstore and located the mysterious book that spoke to my visceral desire to be rich. I took it home, repositioned myself on my mother's couch, and began to read. As my eyes scanned the pages of the book, I felt as though I'd rediscovered rock and roll. It was the same way I felt when I heard Jimi Hendrix play Purple Haze for the first time. I was like a deaf man who had just regained his hearing and heard Led Zeppelin after a life of deafness, or a blind man who discovered the colors of Van Gogh. The book changed my entire paradigm of reality, and I voraciously devoured it in one sitting. New information and new truths became the building blocks of my new reality. Anyone can become rich. Getting rich is a science. Getting rich has little to do with luck. Average Joes like me lying on my mother's couch every day can become fabulously wealthy through harnessing a few simple techniques and one of the most powerful asset classes known to man, real estate. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, but in this moment, real estate became my new rock and roll. Real estate became my passion, my obsession, my mistress that would visit me in the middle of the night. I went back to the bookstore and spent all of my available cash on books about real estate and making money in real estate. I would then take the piles of books back to my lair on my mother's couch and mercilessly devour them one after the other. I would do this for days, weeks, and months, when I would do nothing but read, 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 and read. A new dream was born. Self-made lessons. 1. Average is dangerous. Extraordinary is where the fortune lies. 2. Following average advice of average people will eventually lead you to average results. 3. In 5 years, you will be the same person except for the books you read and the people you met. 4. The world is changing so fast today that our traditional education is often obsolete the moment we graduate. What are you doing to stay relevant in today's market economy? Visit selfmadeconfessions.com for more lessons.